Okay, so my name is Kamissa Camara. I was born and raised in France. Grew up in France and moved to the US in 2007. I've been here since then. Really like the US. I think that the United States is a country that offers a lot of opportunities for diaspora people like me who have sort of a double culture. My parents are from Mali. I have the French culture, and now I had to adapt to the American culture. So I think I'm kind of all three at the same time. And so yeah, I've been here since 2007, love it, work for the National Endowment for Democracy, and I'm the Senior Program Officer for West and Central. As a French person of African descent hasn't been very easy, I have to say. So when we would go to school and when we were outside with friends, it was French culture. Coming back home, it was Bamako. And switching back and forth between the two was kind of difficult. And I would say that French culture, because it's quite conservative, has an issue with integrating these children who are French, but who just don't look French. So it's been quite difficult growing up as a French person in a country that doesn't necessarily accept people from different cultures.
So you were born in France to parents from Mali.
Yes.
So essentially, that's what you know.
That's what I know.
But what you're saying is France says, no, you're not really French.
France says, no, you're not really French. And as an example, so when I moved to the US, I moved on a green card. Whenever I would go back to France, so I still had my French passport, I would present my French passport at the immigration. And the question always was, well, where are you from? You know, you have a French passport, but people ask you in French, where are you from? But the real question is, why are you black? That's the real question. So where are your parents from?
Why are you black?
Nobody will ask you why you're black, but where are you from? If you have a French passport and you're in France, I mean, the question should not arise, right? And I would come back to the US on my green card, and at the immigration, people would say, well, welcome home. So, you cultivate this resentment over time. And now that I have my US passport, I have to say, and people are always surprised about it, when I go back to France to visit my parents, I use my US passport.
So wait a minute. So you were born in France, you're French.
Yes. I have a French passport.
You have a French passport
in your
drawer, and you have an American passport now. And whenever you go back to visit your parents and what was your home or where you grew up, you use your American passport.
I use my American passport.
Why?
Well, people respect me when I show my American passport. Nobody will ask me where I'm from. I'm an American. So there is this perception that, well, Americans are Americans, but French people who show a French passport are not necessarily French.
So you found acceptance in America in a way that you didn't find in the country you were born in.
Yeah, it's weird, right?
So if I was to ask you, let's forget about passports for a second. Mm-hmm. Kamissa Camara, in this global paradigm, who are you and where are you from?
That's a good question. It depends on where I am. Well, I'm an American.
You say that with a question mark, I heard a question mark.
So, I'm an American. I feel American because I feel like in the US, you can be whoever you want. You can be an Indian and be American. You can be a Malian and be American. You can be Chinese and be American. You can be whoever you want and be American. So I am American. And I think that Mali is in me because I was raised by Malian parents, and because I would go back to Mali on vacation very often when I was a young child. And I've kept links with my relatives back there. I go back to Mali at least twice a year. When I'm in Mali, I feel at home. Nobody will ask me where I'm from when I'm there. I'm
not in Mali.
Not in Mali. I'm Malian, and that's it. Am I French? I don't know.
But here's the question: you have a completely French accent. So I hear a francophone from Africa speaking French. I know the difference, right? It's there's a sing-song rhythm to it. Of course, the accents vary from Niger to Senegal, right?
Right.
And so obviously, when you're in Mali, you speak French. People can tell that your French is from France.
Yes.
And that doesn't make a difference.
Not really. I have a French accent because my first language is French, and it's gonna be that way forever. I'm probably gonna have a French accent my entire life.
Yeah.
When I arrived in the U.S., I was 24 or 23.
Mm-hmm.
I just got my master's degree. I was broke. I was driving a $1,000 car that I bought on eBay. And I worked in DC but lived in Baltimore in an $800 a month apartment.
Wow, that's an hour away.
It's an hour away, but that's what I could afford. $800 a month. I don't think I could have found an apartment for $800 a month in DC, so I had to do it step by step. I lived in Baltimore for 5 years, saved a lot of money, moved closer to DC, continued working hard. Now I have a house that I bought. Sometimes when I go to France and when I meet up with my friends in Paris or even with my sisters in Grenoble, and I see that they're always on vacation, first of all, always on vacation. You look at their Facebook, they're in Italy, Portugal, England, they're always on vacation. Great. But is that really the life that you wanted? I feel like sometimes you make decisions because you feel like it's the right decision to make. You leave the country. You don't necessarily know what's waiting for you. You decided to get off the bus, and you get off the bus and you just explore. And whatever comes your way, you try and make the best out of it. Do I envy them? Sometimes, because they're always on vacation. I would love to be on vacation all the time. But now when I'm on vacation, I will always find a way to find something to do related to work, because that's what I like. I just feel like when, again, using the image of the bus, when you decide to get off the bus, you take on the responsibility of it's a different life. You're living a different life, and sometimes they don't understand your life. You don't understand their lives. I'm a very good friend of mine. She has 3 kids. She's my age. I don't have any kids. I would love to have kids one day, but looking at her life, waking up every morning, taking care of the kids, she's a stay-at-home mom. She gained like 30 pounds in 2 years. I don't want that. I just don't want that. That's her life. Wonderful. Do I envy her? No. I think she's happy. You make choices, and you have to be happy with whatever choices you make. If I had stayed in France, I would have had a very different life.
How?
Sure. I would have been married for sure. I would have had kids. I would have had a small car, living in a small apartment somewhere. Grenoble, Paris, maybe. I would have made, I don't know, €1,500 a month. I would have maybe been very happy because I would be on vacation all the time. Africa, we have 54 countries on the continent, something like that.
Really? Africa is not one country?
No, it's not. I promise. It's like 53 different countries. And there's this clear divide between Northern Africa, which is more Arab, I would say, and Sub-Saharan Africa, which is what we call Black Africa. Being African, is obviously somebody of African descent, I would say, who was either born or was raised in Africa, because you will find Europeans who were raised in Africa, feel African, but are
British,
British,
exactly.
but they were raised there, so
In Kenya, Angola, South Africa.
But they were raised there. So, or people like me who have African parents who made sure that they spoke the language of their country, and who made sure that they went to the continent quite often so that they could build these relationships with relatives who stayed back there, and who can understand the culture. So cultures, are very, very different from one country to the other. And I was telling you that I've probably been to every single West African country of the ECOWAS zone, and I have to say that being West African is very different from being East African. In the culture, the music is different, the food is different. You go from, let's say, Ghana to Mali, even though the languages are different, the ethnic groups are different, the food is different, you'll feel the same vibe. You'll talk to people the same way, and you'll probably have the same type of fun. But being Malian has been quite difficult, I would say, for the past 3-4 years, because of all of the turmoil that's happening in the country. The political context is quite difficult. Mali has had a coup in 2012, March of 2012. Mali was considered a democracy until then. And so, being in DC, where everybody's an expert on everything, and where everybody becomes an expert as soon as there is a crisis in a country, has been very frustrating. So there are a bunch of Mali experts who were born right after the military coup of 2012. And it's just like, come on guys. No, you've never been to Mali, you don't even speak French, and you believe that you're experts on the country? I'm here. I'm an expert myself. If you really want to talk about Africa, wherever you are, be it in Asia, in the United States, in France, you can't be talking about Africa without including African voices to your discussion. You have to. You have to.